Hello and welcome to the Dad Strength Podcast. I'm your host, Richie Leahy, and today, adding a new item to the list, something that I know I've mentioned before on the show, something that I've waited a while to bring in, but that is teethers. Now, teething, the one thing I dreaded most when our daughter was born. Wasn't worried about a lot of the stuff developmentally. Wasn't worried. Whatever runs its course, runs its course. I can't change it. So I go ahead and just sit back and relax. No use getting stressed out over things you can't control. Well, teething I did worry about because you knew it was going to happen. It's the one thing that's going to happen that's bad in your child's life that you know you have no control over, but you know it happens because it happens to everyone. It's not some random occurrence you can't control that you can't get too bent out of shape about if you have some hard times with your child. So she was born, we went through all the tests, everything's good. Hit a little hiccups, had some problems. Everyone has some problems, I assume. But everything worked out pretty well. And our daughter was healthy overall, so I was very blessed, very thankful. Tried to do everything I could to get her developmentally active and learning. Then she starts to crawl and she starts to drool around the same time. And I start to panic because I know teething is awful. I remember teeth hurting as when I was a kid. So I knew it was going to be painful for her. And when you see the drooling, you know they're going to start to come in. We go ahead and we try to do everything we could naturally. I went out. As soon as I saw the drooling, I went out, didn't even tell my wife. I went to the store and picked up one or two. Actually, no, it was more than that. It was a Kmart, and Kmart were closing a bunch of stores, which they seem to do often. And I picked out $20 worth of different teethers. And these were, some of them were ones that you put in the freezer, let them get cold. Some of them were just like almost dog toy style, where it's like a cloth, you just bite on it and tear on it. Well, I was lucky that I did that, and I got one teether that she liked the best. And I'm going to tell you about it, but I don't recommend trying to find it because you need to do what I did. Find a bunch of different teethers. I know it goes against, usually I always say don't spend money because you're not going to use it. Maybe it was just me. Maybe teething won't be as bad for your child. I thought our daughter handled it very well. I was expecting it to be way worse, so maybe she has some high pain tolerance. I've heard others that it's worse, crying all through the night. She usually slept through the night still. Not a big deal. Was able to just kind of take care of herself. I knew it hurt her. She would just keep her head down sometimes while she rubbed her jaw. But find different toys. These are the same as the pacifiers. I think I gave the same advice on those. You got to try different styles out. Every child's different. Every mouth is different. Maybe my daughter had one that was a little bit smaller because her mouth is smaller. I don't know. Maybe it was too big for other kids. But what I did was, ours is a raspberry. I'm pretty sure the picture's up on my site. And it's a raspberry. It's like it's rubber. So it's a rubber raspberry, and it has green leaf. It's almost like a pacifier. So I got this because I thought, I honestly thought, well, that would be fun to chew. Looked like it was going to be a soft plastic thing. And I was thinking, like, if I was a kid, what would I want to chew on? And this was one of them. They only had one. So I get it. Of course, I got one of each. Because why would I get multiple ones when I don't even know if she's going to like it? Most of them didn't like. Definitely did not like the freezer ones. She didn't like the feel. We tried to let them out a little bit. There were gel ones. Not a big fan of either. This one had a spot, this raspberry, that you could fill water up, put it in the freezer, or they didn't recommend like juice. I mean, you could if you were getting desperate. You could also put milk. Our doctor recommended against it. Again, check with your doctor. This data might change because that's another thing that could cause tooth decay if they're not on milk and it sits in their mouth and they fall asleep. That's why they tell you to drink bottle and then brush the teeth when your kid starts to get them. So you could do that to give them the appeal. We tried it with water. Didn't try it with milk or juice because I figured she just didn't seem like she liked the cold sensation. Once it warmed up, though, she would gnaw at it like nobody's business. Of course, there was a hole in the bottom, so where the water would go to freeze. So she loved it. It was very bouncy. Like you bite it, it would always give some kickback. So she would always chew on it, and it was kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a stress relief ball is what the action looked like whenever she would bite it. And like I said, it just looked like it would be fun to bite, and she did. She enjoyed it. I never tried it, even though now that I'm talking about it, I think that I should. But I would recommend this. But again, make sure that you try out a bunch of different ones with your child. Don't just go by what I'm saying. Some of the more traditional ones, I know they have a necklace that they get now, where your kid wears a necklace, and it's like the candy necklaces I used to have when I was a kid, that you would bite the little candies. They're little rubber balls. So they always have the necklace, they just pick it up and chew on it. And they have different styles, ones that look cool. I've seen ones that had like little skulls on it for boys or whatever, and then I've seen ones that were hearts for girls or diamonds. So you can get one of these, and your child can use it. I know a lot of parents swear by those because it's just like a necklace they wear. Our daughter didn't like things like that, didn't like bibs, so we went with the raspberry. You can tie it onto a strap, put it on the stroller, whatever. Because Kmart goes out of business, I barely find one more. Luckily, I had to go to a different Kmart and they had one, so it was like the last one. I don't even know if I went online and found the store locator or what. I couldn't find it online. I don't even know what brand these are to tell you guys. And like I said, there will be a picture. I'll try to put it up on ranker.com for the list. But this is definitely the teether that our daughter liked the most. And I had to get another one of just because I'm the dad that was always throwing pacifiers out and stuff when I folded up the stroller because I didn't check the cup holders or whatever and we were missing stuff. So I was like, I got to pay attention to this raspberry. You can put on like a little loop and tie it on to whatever. Of course, you don't want to make it super strong or super long rope and tie it to it and choke your daughter or your son. So you got to be careful. That's one of the things with the necklaces too. Put a necklace on them, but I don't know, that kind of stuff just scares me. But don't take my word. Whatever you want to try out, again, check with your doctor, make sure it's safe. But teethers, definitely needed. Every child's going to get teeth. If you're scared about it like I am, or I was, because it's pretty much over now, the molars were the worst. Go ahead and try out different ones and make sure you find one that your child likes. It will be a lifesaver. Trust me. Our daughter loved the raspberry. She slept with that, chewed on it, and fell asleep. It kind of worked as a pacifier, even though she wasn't into pacifiers. She would definitely chew on it and definitely had it in her crib. And she would definitely, we've seen videos of her waking up and putting it in her mouth and chewing for a bit and falling back asleep. Some other things you could try. When I was a kid, they had a thing called Orajel, which was supposed to be the safer version of the old grandparents thing of just put some whiskey on the teeth. That will numb it. Well, Orajel was like a thing when I was a kid that you put on. I remember it as being like a painkiller that like I wanted all the time because your teeth hurt. So like I was kind of worried like, I wonder if that's like an addictive thing for kids because you can't test that on kids. So I don't like giving drugs and like even medications just because I don't want anyone to become addicted to that. So I'm wary as a parent of using those anyway. But we did have one for safety. I think it came in like a kit. It's like a little gel. I tested it on myself first to see how powerful it was. Didn't even work. Like they changed the formula. I remember the taste from when I was a kid. This was not the same. I looked it up. They made changes over the years. I tried it on our daughter. Didn't work at all. I figured they must have, when I was a kid, it must have been way too strong so that over the years they realized kids were probably becoming addicted to it. Might not have been in the news or whatever, but wasn't what I remember. And I remember like my brothers using the same one I used, and that was it might have been 20 years ago now. But even that recent, they still had the stronger one. So sometime they changed the formula up. So that didn't work for us. So I don't recommend that. But again, check with your doctor, see what they recommend. And good luck, because it's something that I dreaded, and I know it's painful for your kid. And it sucks seeing your kid hurt in pain. So I'm sorry. Everyone has to go through it. It's one of the worst things. Like I said, I dreaded it. Teethers, they're on the list. Very, very important. Get one that your kid likes, because it's a painful time in their life. So go to Ranker.com, search Dad Strength, look for teethers, vote them up or down, whether you think they're essential items or not for parenting. And I'm your host, Richie Leahy. Go to Twitter, follow me, or on Instagram and Facebook. And I will see you next week. We have 2 items left to put on our list. So thanks again.